Hi, thank you for joining me. I've been a bit afraid of talking about this because I don't know how people will take it, but I speak as I find, so I will do it. I'm going to be very blunt about this. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They say people never regret having children. No, they're wrong. Not everyone does, but some people do. That doesn't mean they don't feel anything towards them or they're bad people. But they're unhappy in that life because they realised after that it's not for them. It is possible to love someone and resent them at the same time. It's very hard for anyone to admit that to themselves, but the truth is that they feel very trapped. They feel extremely guilty, and understandably, they're depressed. There are videos and blog posts by people in this situation just talking honestly about the fact that they're unhappy in this life and it was a wrong decision. A lot of people will say they shouldn't have done it, which is a fair point, but it wouldn't be happening so much if society didn't put so much pressure on people to do it and deceive people. It gets painted as an answer to everything. If you have a problem, throw children at it. Your relationship is in trouble, have children. You're not sure what to do next, have children. No, no. It's not a solution. It's not a pill. It will not fix your marriage or your relationship. It will only make things 10 times worse. By doing this, you're just piling misery upon misery. If you're not in love, there is nothing that can change that. Sometimes when something is broken, it can't be fixed. Some people do it purely for selfish reasons. They do it for image, just to tick that box, to please society, and to get approval or to get handouts from the state. But they don't really want them, not deep down. Some people drift into it. They do it because other people are, or for something to do. Some people do it just so they don't regret it later, because that's what society tells you all the time. Oh, you'll regret it if you don't. How can you be so sure of that? Some people do it just to have someone to look after them in old age. I mean, those are all awful reasons. No one should be brought into the world just to be a carer. And just because you have children, that doesn't mean they're going to look after you in old age. Who's to say they won't just stick you in a nursing home and wait for you to fall off your tree so they can get their hands on your money? Society has a very over-romanticised view of it, and a lot of people get sucked into that illusion. So they do it, then they realise they're not that happy. There is a lot of extreme naivety about it. People need to understand the reality from the beginning. Often those who do regret having children don't talk about it, because if you do, you're condemned by society and told that you're a monster, you're a terrible person. You're not. This is just another reality that exists when society pretends that it doesn't. This idea that you owe the world children. You don't. Parents sometimes pressure their grown-up children to have children because they want to be grandparents, which is very selfish. You don't owe them grandchildren. You don't owe anyone anything. It's a choice. You don't have to. People should not preach about it. I don't have children, and I don't want to be preached to about it. I have mental health issues, and I don't feel able to cope with the stress it brings. Not having children is the right choice for some of us, because for psychological reasons we can't do it. Society needs to stop painting false illusions about it and trying to force it on people. Society needs to change its attitudes to not having children. For people who are unhappy with children, it is something that needs to be addressed. I don't know what the solution is, but you have to be honest with yourself, otherwise you're living a lie. I know some people will not like this because it's a controversial subject. They'll say, how can you say all this when you don't even have children? Because I've seen the evidence. If you type into YouTube or Google, I regret having children, you'll see. I've known enough people who have children and are miserable. I've known people who have children and they're in the pub all the time. They're doing drugs, they're getting arrested. They just offload them any chance they get. And I just think, what was the point of that? Having children is great for some people, but not for everyone. Society needs to wake up to that fact. Staying together for the sake of the children, that doesn't work either. This only screws them up even more. Being together and miserable will not do you or them any favours. If you're not happy, they won't be happy. It's that simple. You can't hide it, you can't fool them. They're very intuitive, they will know. I knew it about my parents when I was very young. I was very aware that they were not happy. They never said that. They didn't need to. They weren't shouting at each other all the time. I rarely heard them argue. I just knew. They divorced a few years later. If I could figure it out at the age of 4, that kind of says it all. I'm actually glad they did separate because it was the best thing they could have done. Things would have been far worse if they'd stayed together. That would never have worked. Unfortunately, children get used as weapons in marriages and relationships. People will have and use children to try and force their partner to stay with them. Society makes problems for itself. It screws people over with all the make it work nonsense. It doesn't tell you to start saving so you can put the kids into therapy. Society feeds us a lot of shit. It tells us a lot of things that aren't true. That's why everyone needs to think very carefully about what they really want. You should not have children just because it's the usual thing to do. You should only ever do it because you want to. There is no other valid reason. I'm saying all this not to upset anyone, just because society's pressure to do it is harming people. Forcing anyone into something they don't want is going to hurt them and other people. You can't force something to work for you just because it seems like the normal thing to do. Sorry to say that, but it's true. But I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for watching. See you next time.